your administration going to possibly look into immigration fraud committed by Ilhan Omar by possibly marrying her brother? Tax fraud?
Well, there's a lot of talk about the fact that she was married to her brother. I know nothing about it. I hear she was married to her brother. You're asking me a question about it. I don't know, but I'm sure that somebody would be looking at that.
For me, is I feel embarrassed for him because in these attacks, what he does, and I think with the likes of Nancy Mace and whoever that Randy guy is, they expose themselves for how stupid they are. And that is embarrassing for us as a country because these are people who are elected to positions of leadership. He's supposed to be the president of the United States who's heading off to Europe to represent us. When he does, he's uneducated enough to understand that members of Congress can't be impeached. You know, when you have Nancy and Randy saying, you know, we're on it, we're going to impeach her. When they're saying they're going to deport me, knowing full well that you cannot deport an American citizen. What that displays for not just Americans, but folks on an international platform is that our country is being led by idiots. And that is not something that we should be comfortable with as Americans. And that's not something that should make us proud.
It's rather, Rich, I can think of nothing more idiotic than to say you represent Somalia when you're an elected member of the United States Congress, which is something that Ilhan Omar has done over and over again. We've all seen the clip where she says, I'm just a Somali girl and I just want to get back home to Somalia. And this is the country I represent. And you've seen the video clips of the ambassador to Somalia, the prime minister, president of Somalia, saying how good it was to have Ilhan Omar in Congress because she's the first one that they go to. Like, that's so un-American and foolish. You know, she knows better than that. If she could be denaturalized and be deported, especially if there was in the way that she became a U.S. citizen. I think President Trump asked the right question the other day in his Truth Social post was, did he marry her brother? I mean, I think we'd all like to know the answer to that question too.
Ilhan Omar again. She's giving an interview, and I found this really interesting. She was on CNN. She's talking to Caitlin Collins, and she said that you and President Trump, people like you, are calling for violence against her, and how you're doing it is you're using words.
My Republican colleagues have decided to do in their attacks targeting me and what the president has decided to do. These are people who are calling basically for our assassination of us. Nancy Mace, as you just referenced, called me the enemy of the state. And so these are not people who are interested in bringing us together. They're not interested in, turning the volume down. They're not interested in finding common ground. And even the Republicans who voted out of their obligation to the Constitution and doing the right thing in making sure that I didn't get censured for words I did not actually say, they are being under attack right now. They're being threatened. A call for their resignation is out there, and some of them are actually frightened for their lives from their own base. And so, when we say we want a country that's united, it starts with all of us and all of our actions, and we're not seeing that on the other side of the aisle right now.
Yeah, and to be clear on Mace, she didn't literally call for your assassination, but you're saying because of all of the comments, I mean, we just showed the dozens of tweets directed at you, that she is, you're arguing, instigating violence against you.
Right. I mean, what do you expect for people to do with me when you call me the enemy of the state? What do you do with people to do with me when you're the president of the United States and you say this person here in Congress is in our country to destroy the country? There is no clear way to incite violence against a sitting member of Congress and unless you go after them in that kind of way. Nancy Mace also retweeted something Charlie Kirk said, which was that Islam was the sword that was going to slit the throat of Western civilization. As a visibly Muslim member of Congress, how am I supposed to feel safe when words like that are out there and there are deranged people who will take action to protect me from the United States? It's frightening.
She's talking about words causing violence when she sits here and calls you, calls Trump, calls me and everybody else fascist, compares us to the former dictator of Germany in the 1940s. We can't say
let's not forget the reason that I brought up the censure resolution to kick her off her committees is because she was posting content calling Charlie Kirk a terrorist, essentially calling all of us terrorists and fascists and Nazis and Hitler. words are words. Words are not violence. Violence is violence. I think J.D. Vance said that very well, and same thing with President Trump. But we have to call it like we see it. And she, I believe, is a national security risk, and I'm being very, pointed about that. I also think Corey Mills is a national security risk. So when I call things out, call the balls and strikes, I'm calling them on everybody who I believe is not America first when they pose a risk to our country and our values. The far left and some of the mainstream Democrats, like they're threatening my life and life of my kids and my family and my parents because I'm a rape survivor who doesn't want men in the bathroom. I mean, at the end of the day, that's how simple the argument is. And they don't like the language that I use. And so they feel justified in these threats. We actually just had someone about an hour ago show up to our office unannounced, knowing that they did not have an appointment and were asked not to come in and come by the office anyway. And thankfully we had security here to assist my staff. But there are folks who have lost their marbles and want to do harm to others just because they're angry or they disagree with you or because you don't believe in transgenders. It's not science, right? But it's really a challenging time. And like what Charlie would do, he would have these debates and have these conversations and tell the truth. And we have to keep telling the truth. And his death was devastating. His murder has been a devastating thing for our country, particularly for our youth and our young people. One of my kids looked up to him just so much. And I did 3 turning point events this year. And one of them at a South Carolina University, we had a transgender person show up and they tried to pick up a potted plant, the fern incident, and tried to throw it at me, but I had lots of security there and they stopped it before it could happen. And then what really incenses me is that the left, Jasmine Crockett, calling him a racist, the last turning point event I spoke at, I was the only white person to speak at, my staff tells me, was the Blacksit event in Tampa, run and sponsored by Charlie Kirk and Turning Point USA. He loved everybody. If you were conservative, he gave you a platform. He didn't care about the color of your skin. And he was really remarkable and loved women and kids and, espoused all these Christian virtues and faith and, Christian values. And there's really been a revival in the 2 weeks since his murder. There's been a huge revival of Christ followers and Christians, and also people who are willing to speak up and not allow teachers to teach in their schools who are indoctrinating our children, making sure that anyone who works at a hospital system making life and death decisions, that if they espouse that kind of hate, that they're going to be fired from their jobs. I don't want someone who's a transgender or supports that kind of violence operating on me. I won't wake up. No, thank you. And so we as conservatives have come together all across the country, and I think it's been really remarkable. And I want to reiterate that all of our prayers are with Erica, with his 2 children, with the Turning Point family, and the millions of students who are going to grow up in this era and have witnessed his horrific murder. And he'll speak up, speak out, and fight for our values, figuratively, not literally, but fight for our values and our right to free speech.
I'm no stranger to discrimination, hate speech, or threats of violence against my family and myself simply because of my identity. As a Black, visibly Muslim woman who came to this country as a refugee, I have dealt with racist, xenophobic, bigoted comments and threats all my life. Even being elected to offices hasn't stopped me from being othered. I've received vile remarks from the public as well as members of Congress. Sadly, I am just one of millions of Americans across this country who have experienced discrimination and attacks. In recent years, we've witnessed increased attacks on Asian Americans, immigrant communities, religious minorities in spaces, and that's only a fraction of violence. It is demoralizing to watch acts of such blatant racism and xenophobia, all carried out with complete disregard for the humanity of others. Sadly, our government has a history of sanctioning such hatred and violence.
That's all for today. Thank you. If you want global news to keep you up to date on any new developments, please subscribe our channel and forward our content with your friends on social media and email. Thank you very much for keep supporting me. Stay safe, be blessed. Namaste.
Thank you, God bless you, and God bless America.